Is there a voice inside your head that just won't quit? That constant critic, replaying mistakes, pointing out flaws, whispering doubts until your mind feels like a war zone? You know the one. It steals your joy, fuels your anxiety, and keeps you stuck. What if I told you there's a simple, almost deceptively easy psychological trick, one backed by solid neuroscience, that can help you silence that relentless inner critic and finally find a lasting sense of peace? This isn't about years of therapy or complex rituals. It's about understanding your brain and using its own mechanisms to set yourself free. Welcome to Xendai, where we explore the powerful convergence of mind, spirit, and science for your ultimate well-being. That nagging inner critic, it's a near universal human experience. It might sound like a harsh parent, a demanding teacher, or even just a distorted version of your own voice, constantly undermining your confidence and peace. It tells you you're not good enough, not smart enough, not worthy. It replays embarrassing moments and predicts future failures. For many, this internal monologue is the primary source of their stress, anxiety, and unhappiness. We try to fight it, ignore it, or even agree with it, but often that just seems to make it louder. The constant barrage can feel overwhelming, leaving us feeling drained and powerless. But the good news, the truly life-changing news, is that you don't have to live this way. Neuroscience is revealing fascinating insights into why this inner critic is so persistent, and more importantly, how we can effectively turn down its volume, not by force, but with a clever psychological shift.
So, where does this inner critic come from? From a neuroscience perspective, it's often linked to ingrained neural pathways formed early in life, often as a misguided self-protection mechanism. Our brains are wired to detect threats, and sometimes critical self-talk was an attempt to preempt external criticism or avoid future pain. Think of it like an overactive alarm system. Parts of our brain, like the amygdala, involved in fear processing, and the default mode network, active during self-referential thought and mind-wandering, can get caught in these negative feedback loops. These loops, when repeated, become deeply etched pathways, making critical thoughts feel automatic and overwhelmingly real. The neuroplasticity of our brain, its ability to change and rewire itself, is key here. While these critical pathways are strong, they are not permanent. We can create new, more peaceful pathways. And that's where our psychological trick comes in, leveraging this very neuroplasticity. Before we dive into the trick itself, take a moment. How often does your inner critic show up for you? Is it a daily visitor, or does it only appear during stressful times? Recognizing its patterns is the first step to disarming it. Let me know in the comments. What's one thing your inner critic loves to tell you? You're definitely not alone in this. All right, let's get to the technique. This psychological trick isn't about complex mental gymnastics. It's a subtle yet powerful shift in your relationship with those critical thoughts, and it involves 3 key stages, grounded in principles of mindfulness, cognitive diffusion, and self-compassion, all increasingly supported by neuroscientific research. We can call it the observe, name, and nurture technique. Stage 1, mindful observation, the detached scientist. When that critical voice starts its barrage, the first step is not to engage, argue, or believe it. Instead, step back mentally and simply observe the thought as if you're a curious scientist studying a strange phenomenon. Notice it without judgment. For example, if the thought is, "I'm such a failure," don't dive into why that might be true or false. Just acknowledge, there's the thought, "I'm a failure." This act of impartial observation creates immediate psychological distance. You are no longer being the failure. You are observing a thought about being a failure. Neuroscience shows that this kind of mindful awareness can reduce activity in the amygdala, calming the fear response. Stage 2, name the critic, the externalizing ally. This is where the trick gets particularly effective. Give your inner critic a name. It might be a slightly silly name, a generic name like the judge, or Mr. Naysayer, or even the name of a cartoon character. When the critical thought arises, after observing it, you say internally, "Ah, there's Critic's name again, telling me I'm a failure." Why does this work? Naming it and externalizing it, treating it as a separate, somewhat predictable entity rather than your own core truth, further diffuses its power. It's like recognizing an old, familiar radio station that always plays the same negative tunes. You don't have to listen or believe every song. Neuropsychology suggests that this externalization helps to disidentify from the thought, reducing its emotional charge and preventing it from hijacking your sense of self. Stage 3. Nurture with compassion, the kind redirector. Now, instead of fighting or validating Critic's name, respond with a touch of gentle compassion or even neutral acknowledgement, and then gently redirect your attention. You could say something like, "Thanks for sharing, Critic's name, I hear you, but I'm choosing to focus on something positive or neutral right now." Or, "I understand you're trying to protect me, Critic's name, but I've got this." This self-compassionate response is crucial. Research in neuroscience shows self-compassion activates areas of the brain associated with positive emotions and reduces stress hormones. You're not trying to obliterate the critic, which often creates more internal conflict, but to gently disengage from its narrative and choose a more peaceful focal point. This builds new neural pathways associated with self-kindness and emotional regulation. This observe, name, and nurture technique is so powerful because it works with your brain's natural tendencies. By observing, you engage your prefrontal cortex, the more rational part of your brain, taking power away from the emotion-driven amygdala. By naming and externalizing, you break the identification with the negative thought. And by nurturing with compassion and redirecting, you actively practice neuroplasticity, weakening the old critical pathways and building new, more resilient and peaceful ones. This isn't just a feel-good exercise. It's a scientifically informed method for retraining your mind. Now, will this silence your inner critic overnight? Probably not completely, especially if it's been a lifelong companion. This is a practice, a skill you develop. There will be days when Critic's name is louder and days when it's barely a whisper. The goal isn't to achieve a permanently silent mind. That's rarely realistic. The goal is to change your relationship with that voice, to realize it's not the ultimate truth of who you are, and to reclaim your power to choose where you place your focus and how you treat yourself. Each time you successfully observe, name, and nurture, you are winning a small battle and contributing to a larger victory for your inner peace. The voice of the inner critic may have been loud, it may have felt like an undeniable truth, but it is not the entirety of who you are. You possess the incredible capacity, backed by the very science of your brain, to observe its patterns, to skillfully disengage from its negativity, and to cultivate a profound and lasting inner peace. This psychological trick, this simple yet powerful technique, is a key to unlocking that peace. It's a testament to the fact that you are not at the mercy of your thoughts. You are the conscious observer, the compassionate nurturer, and the deliberate creator of your internal landscape. Imagine a life where that critical voice is no longer the dominant sound in your mind, but a faint echo you can choose to acknowledge and then gently release. Imagine the freedom, the creativity, the joy that can flourish in that newfound mental space. This isn't just a dream, it's a potential waiting to be activated within you. If you're ready to silence that inner critic and step into a life of greater peace and self-compassion, we invite you to try this technique and share your journey. For more insights where science, spirit, and psychology converge to unlock your best life, please subscribe to Xendai and join our community of conscious explorers. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out. Thank you for being here. your peace is worth cultivating.